This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's the Noon Report from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams, plus special features and reports with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
On a mission in the Middle East. Good afternoon. Welcome aboard. President Trump says his three-nation, 4-day Gulf tour could generate up to $4 trillion in business deals for the U.S.
We've gone from a laughingstock 6 months ago to the hottest country anywhere in the world.
The president today signing a deal with Qatar for the purchase of more than 200 Boeing airplanes. It's the largest deal in the history of that company.
We've raised trillions of dollars in investments. There's never been anything like it.
Mr. Trump wants the Qataris to lead negotiations for a possible nuclear deal with Iran, our main nemesis in the Middle East. But Israeli military spokesman Doron Spielman has a problem with that.
Qatar is a terror-sponsoring country. I'm not so sure it's in the United States' interest to be putting so many eggs in their basket of Qatar.
Still, Mideast scholar Eli Kohanen says there's great significance in the president's trip to the Middle East this week.
He's bringing the Gulf region back under the American sphere of influence. We were losing this region to China. So now you've got President Trump going back and restoring the American sphere of influence.
Dr. Kyron Skinner at the Heritage Foundation says the commander-in-chief has been effective at playing the role of peace strategist.
The thought that one day Syria and Saudi Arabia, very different countries, could join the Abraham Accords is a stunning moment in world history. And I think that's not too far away.
Earlier today, Mr. Trump addressed the troops at the largest U.S. military base in the Middle East. It's near Doha, Qatar, and it's home to some 10,000 of our fighting forces. The president wraps up his trip with a visit to the United Arab Emirates. A no-show today in Istanbul, Turkey. Russian ruler Vladimir Putin failed to show for peace talks with Ukraine. Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
There is no military solution to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. This war is going to end not through a military solution, but through a diplomatic one.
Rubio says the U.S. is growing increasingly impatient with the lack of progress at winding down the war.
We want to see progress made in that regard, and whatever mechanism is outlined, whatever the process is that needs to happen, we are open to being constructive and helpful in any way we can to end a conflict.
The Moscow-Kyiv peace talks, the first in more than 3 years. Experts say nearly 1 million people have been killed or wounded since this war started in the winter of 2022. The heat is on in the Lone Star State, triple-digit heat for the foreseeable future. Austin Mayor Kirk Watson.
This is the type of heat we generally don't start seeing until July. It's unwelcome and it's unwanted, but it's here.
Correspondent Jennifer Kuiper says the Midwest is feeling it too.
Wiping the sweat off of foreheads, those in Chicago, St. Louis, and Oklahoma City, where the thermometer is expected to linger around 90 degrees.
Dress accordingly, hydrate, everything that they tell you to do. It's too hot to go outside unless you're in a pool.
High temperature records in the central and southern U.S. could be set into next week.
Meteorologist David Parkinson.
There's this heat dome that is locked in across the southern United States where we're seeing anywhere between 10 and 20 different daily high temperature records. Each day this week, we'll see the heat begin to expand a little bit into Louisiana, the panhandle of Florida, portions of Alabama and Mississippi, as well as the week goes on and we go into next week, because that high pressure system there just does not budge.
5 million Americans under extreme heat warnings today. The U.S. Supreme Court heard oral arguments today on the constitutionality of the president's bid to end birthright citizenship. 3 judges have issued nationwide injunctions against the president. Birthright citizenship says any child born in this country, even a child born to illegal immigrants, is a citizen of this country. The justices will issue a ruling sometime next month. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. raised a few eyebrows during a contentious House hearing yesterday. Here's what he said when asked about his views on vaccines.
What I would say is my opinions about vaccines are irrelevant I don't think people should be taking medical advice from me.
Kennedy's questioned the effectiveness and the side effects of vaccines, but has since stated that vaccines play a critical role in healthcare. Men, it turns out, are twice as likely as women to die from what experts call broken heart syndrome.
New research out of the University of Arizona looked at what's officially called Takotsubo cardiomyopathy, a condition brought on by extreme stress or emotional distress. It can lead to shortness of breath, heart palpitations, and other cardiovascular symptoms. After looking over 4 years of data, researchers found the condition was fatal for men 11% of the time compared to around 5% for women. The reasons for the discrepancy aren't fully understood. Researchers suggested it might be related to hormonal differences. I'm Michael Kastner.
A copy of the Magna Carta that's been sitting around at Harvard University for 80 years turns out to be one of the originals from the year 1300. The faded parchment was purchased by Harvard for $27 back in 1946. It's in a library there now. That parchment received little attention until 2 years ago when two British professors stumbled upon it quite by accident while looking through the school's digital archives. After some high-tech authenticating, they discovered it was one of the 7 original copies of the Magna Carta from over 700 years ago. How about that? Are you ready for some football? The 2025 NFL schedule's out. NBC's Stephanie Goss.
If we are talking schedules, it's got to be close, right? 32 teams, 272 regular season games, including 7 international games.
The Buffalo Bills host conference rival Baltimore in Week 1. The Steelers will play the Jets. Philadelphia will be hosting Dallas to kick off the season. It's coming up September 4th, just 112 days from now. Be here before you know it. Still to come on the Noon Report. Should Election Day be a holiday? Bomb scare in Canandaigua and correcting corrections in the state of New York.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Williams. This unsettled weather pattern will carry us into the start of the weekend. Rain-free much of the time, but a couple of showers and thundery downpours in the mix, too. Forecast details are straight ahead.
All right, Kevin, thank you very much. News where you live next. Walmart is raising prices. Reporter Jim Krasula.
If you shop at Walmart, you will soon be paying more. The nation's biggest retailer says it will be raising prices because of President Donald Trump's tariffs. Much of what Walmart sells is made in China. The company says it had strong profits from good sales during the first quarter of the year.
National Fuel says that deadly home explosion in Hamburg, New York was not caused by a gas leak. The blast Monday night killed an elderly woman and severely injured her husband. That explosion completely destroyed 2 homes and caused damage to about a dozen others. New York lawmakers held a special legislative session yesterday to draw attention to the problems that are plaguing our state prison system. Government watchdog Jason McGuire says there's a lot that needs correcting when it comes to corrections.
They need to deal with some of the law enforcement actions here. Prisoners that really have no accountability once they're in prison. And if you cannot discipline prisoners in prison, that makes it extremely challenging and dangerous for other inmates.
The hearings in Albany were triggered by the deaths of 2 black men who were incarcerated at neighboring upstate facilities. Some 20 corrections officers are now facing charges related to those deaths. Planned Parenthood is under the gun for using money meant for COVID relief to fund transgender events for children in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Michael Geer with the Pennsylvania Family Institute.
And the notion that they took funding designed to deal with the COVID public health emergency to instead be used for these purposes is just another reason why we need to defund Planned Parenthood across the board at the federal and the state level.
Geer says Planned Parenthood also diverted thousands of dollars in opioid settlement money to promote transgender-themed events in the Philadelphia area. Classes resumed today at the Charles W. Baker High School in Baldwinsville, New York. A Chromebook fire in a classroom yesterday forced evacuations and early early dismissal. Officials are looking into whether that fire was the result of a Chromebook challenge social media trend. A viral video circulating on TikTok shows students jamming metal objects into their Chromebooks, causing them to ignite. Last week, the Baldwinsville School District sent out a message urging students not to do that. A bomb scare yesterday forced the evacuation of Finger Lakes Community College in Canandaigua, New York. Ontario County Sheriff David Sorencione says a 19-year-old student is now in custody.
Had set a backpack down and made mention in the classroom that there was a bomb in the backpack.
The suspect, Nari Watts of Canandaigua, left that backpack in a classroom around 9 o'clock yesterday morning. A professor and 10 other students remained in that classroom while the rest of the building was evacuated.
When you make a statement like that you've got a bomb in your backpack, I mean, I'm sure they felt like they were being held hostage.
Thankfully, no bomb was found. The sheriff credits another student with alerting police and sounding the alarm.
We always talk, if you see something, say something. Here's a student that, upon hearing something this scary and this unnerving, got themselves out of that classroom somehow without issue and immediately went to the police and made the report in person.
That teen suspect was charged with falsely reporting an incident. That's a felony. He's now in the Ontario County Jail. First responders were called to school yesterday morning in Cumberland County, Pennsylvania. Apparently a student there, for whatever reason, thought it'd be a good idea to bring a World War II-era explosive device onto a school bus. Turns out it wasn't a good idea. The 17-year-old had the mortar round in his backpack. A bomb squad says that mortar round contained no explosive material. Police say the student did not intend to cause any harm. He simply wanted to show it off to his friends. The investigation is ongoing. A bill is making its way through the Pennsylvania House that aims to make Election Day a holiday.
The bill, proposed by Representative Greg Scott, would require the Commonwealth and municipal governments to observe Election Day as a legal holiday. In the memo, Representative Scott says some residents have limited opportunities to vote due to long workdays, tight schedules, and daily commutes, citing a U.S. Census Bureau study which shows the most common reason registered voters say they don't vote is due to work or school conflicts. The bill would allow counties and school districts to observe Election Day as a legal holiday. Brian Query, Family Life News.
Thank you, Brian. Wildlife officials say the upcoming tick season could be robust this year. In fact, they're thinking it might be the worst on record. That is extremely bad news because ticks can spread Lyme disease. No state in the nation has a higher rate of Lyme disease than does Pennsylvania. More than a third of all ticks carry Lyme disease. Well, allergy season is in full bloom now. Dr. Mehek Mehta is an allergy expert at Corning Guthrie Hospital. She tells WETM-TV what some of the symptoms of allergies are.
Itchy, watery eyes, sneezing, nasal itching, feeling stuffy.
And when it comes to treating those allergies, the doctor recommends sprays over pills.
Those sprays end up working better than the pills. So if you are going to try something over the counter, try the rinses, nasal saline rinses, the Flonase.
Dr. Mehta says it is possible to develop allergies later in life. Even if you didn't have them as a child, you can get them as an adult. She also says this year in particular has been especially bad for allergy sufferers. Well, the sweetest place on planet Earth may soon have the official candy of the Commonwealth. State Representative Tom Mahaffey wants to designate the Hershey Kiss as Pennsylvania's official candy. He says he got the idea from some middle schoolers in his home district.
And he called me and he said, would you like to introduce this bill? And I said, absolutely. If kids are going to get involved in it, I'm all in. And I think it's great.
If signed into law by the governor, Pennsylvania would be the first state in the nation to have an official state candy. Sports news next. It's the 2-minute drill on the Family Life Noon Report.
Down 3-1 and their best player out for the rest of the season. The defending champs are not going down without a fight, Bob. Good afternoon, I'm Randy Snavely. The Boston Celtics got 34 points from Derek White, knocking down 7 3-pointers, and he led the C's over the Knicks 127-105. With Jason Tatum out for the playoffs, head coach Joe Mazzulla implored his players to pour everything they had into winning the game, and they responded. Jaylen Brown scored 26 points and handed out 12 assists. Peyton Pritchard scored 17. In all, the Celtics knocked down 22 3-pointers to bury the Knicks. New York still up 3-2, and they will have a chance to eliminate the Celtics at home tomorrow night. In the West, Julius Randle scored 29 points, and the T-Wolves are moving on. They eliminated Golden State 121-110. On to baseball, and Aaron Judge. He hit his Major League leading 15th home run, and the Yankees edged the Mariners 3-2. Paul Goldschmidt also went deep. The Pirates shut out the Mets 4-0. The Phillies earned a 2-1 victory in Game 1 with the Cardinals, but then the Cards came back in a game that saw 21 runs scored in the nightcap. 14-7 the final. The Twins took a pair from the Orioles. KC, Detroit, Toronto, the White Sox, D-backs, Nats, Marlins, Rangers, Brewers, Padres, and Dodgers, your other winners. On the ice, the Oilers eliminated the Golden Knights 4-1 with an overtime 1-0 victory. And the Panthers are a win away from heading back to the Eastern Conference Finals after blowing out the Maple Leafs 6-1 in Game 5. That is a look at sports.
Thank you, Randy Man. Still to come on the Noon Report, record heat way down south, Trump's golf tour reaping dividends, and baseball perfection at SUNY Niagara.
Welcome to Breakpoint, a daily look at an ever-changing culture through the lens of unchanging truth. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet. Well, even after Easter, a new faith-based movie out of Hollywood continues to do well at the box office. Angel Studios' cartoon, The King of Kings, quickly surpassed its approximately $25 million price tag, making $19 million in the first week and $17 million in the second. As of last week, it had topped $64 million and is on track to outpace the opening days of the epic 1998 DreamWorks movie, The Prince of Egypt. King of Kings retells the story of Christ and is based loosely on the 1840s book by Charles Dickens, The Life of Our Lord. Its impressive cast includes Oscar Isaac as Jesus, Pierce Brosnan as Pilate, Kenneth Branagh as Dickens, Forrest Whitaker as Peter, and Mark Hamill as King Herod. Opening week stats like these should encourage studios and execs and producers to continue to invest in this kind of Christian-friendly filmmaking. Clearly, there's enough audience interest there. And part of the success is portraying biblical characters as real-life human beings, along with their frailties, ambitions, and personalities. The Chosen, the popular crowd-funded series about Jesus and his disciples, is now in its 4th season, with a reported 3 more to go. Its portrayal of the gospel accounts takes considerable license with backstories and character development, but also feels more real than the overly sanitized Bible films of the past. It's a trade-off with tight margins. The new Amazon series, The House of David, takes a similar approach, offering a very human and realistic portrayal of the Old Testament king and shepherd boy. And like The Chosen, the actors actually look like they're from the Middle East. In fact, the actor playing King Saul is from Nazareth. The accents, of course, are a bit tougher to nail down. In the storytelling of The House of David, the Amalekites are not innocent victims. Saul's palace has all the intrigue and drama of a mafia movie. The realism is not only refreshing and compelling, but it reminds the audience that the events portrayed actually happened. And that, of course, is the most important part of the biblical story, the fact that it is actually true. The Christian story of a created, perfect, and loved world broken by humans, but made right again because of the work of the Creator, that's an epic tale. It's also the best account of reality as it actually is. The story of a righteous hero who sacrifices his life to restore his kingdom and for the honor of his name, well, that actually is the story of the whole world. That's why it's the story by which all other good stories are, in fact, based. This story can be told in 4 chapters. The only world we've ever lived in, the only world there is a created world, and that establishes for us the realities of truth, beauty, and goodness, as well as the essential nature of human beings to reflect the Creator. Created good, this world is now fallen. The biblical explanation for that is that something has gone wrong with God's good world, and that something is us. Thank God the story does not end there with that evil and sorrow and brokenness. In Christ, God works to redeem his image bearers so that now they can become agents of restoration. In this story, creation, fall, redemption, restoration, there is hope, not as some feeling of wishful thinking, but as a certainty that the one telling the story of the world will one day finally make all sad things untrue. The success of the Bible in pop culture is evidence that, as much as we may try to reject it in our sin and cultural rebellion, this story of the world can never be fully suppressed. And we need not update, massage, embellish, or water down the message of the Bible. It's already the best story in history. That's because it is the story of history. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet with Breakpoint.
All right, thank you, John. Outside next, Kevin Williams.
Here is your family life weather forecast for this afternoon. Variable cloud cover, some sunny intervals, a couple of isolated showers and thunderstorms in the area. High temperatures this afternoon in the 70s. A larger area of showers and thunderstorms across our region late tonight into tomorrow morning from west to east. Otherwise, plenty of clouds through the period. Low temps tonight, 50s and low 60s. Highs tomorrow, 70s and low 80s. Saturday, mostly cloudy, a couple of scattered showers and thunderstorms in the 70s. And turn quite a bit cooler Sunday through next week.
All right, Kevin, this is the Noon Report. I'm Bob Price. Great to have you with us today. Lots to get to Thursday, the 15th of May. President Trump's Gulf tour included a stop this morning at the largest U.S. military base in the Middle East. It's near Doha, Qatar, and it's home to some 10,000 troops. The commander-in-chief was there to say thank you to the troops.
You are, without a doubt, the greatest fighting force in the history of the world. That's the way it is. And as your commander-in-chief, I'm here to say that America's military will soon be bigger, better, stronger, and more powerful than ever before.
Mr. Trump says he's been able to secure about $4 trillion in business deals with our Arab allies from his ongoing Gulf tour. NBC's Peter Alexander.
The president here trying to play both deal maker and peacemaker in countries that have long had complicated histories with the U.S.
Mr. Trump wraps up his Mideast excursion today with a trip to the United Arab Emirates. Peace talks between Russia and Ukraine in Istanbul, Turkey, have hit a snag. Russian ruler Vladimir Putin, a no-show at those talks today, the first in more than 3 years between the warring countries.
The big issue on everyone's mind is what's happening with Russia and Ukraine. The president of the United States has been abundantly clear he wants the war to end. He's open to virtually any mechanism that gets us to a just, enduring, and lasting peace.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio is mediating those talks today in Turkey. We've still got a month of spring left, but it feels more like the middle of summer today for 5 million people from the Midwest to the Deep South.
This heat is just awful.
They're experiencing record heat today in Texas. Correspondent Maggie Vespa has more from Chicago.
It's hard to believe looking at the calendar, but temperatures here are actually expected to top potentially 90 degrees. People are already flocking to boats and beaches to try and stay cool this week.
The heat streak continues through next week. Our temperatures will actually be cooler than normal next week. A Michigan man's been arrested for allegedly plotting an ISIS-inspired attack on a U.S. military base. The 19-year-old was a member of the Michigan National Guard. Police say he was attempting to carry out a mass shooting at a base in Warren, Michigan. Views on vaccines, the focus of a contentious House hearing yesterday on Capitol Hill. Reporter Ryan Nobles has more.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Donald Trump's pick to run the country's top health agency, telling members of Congress that Americans shouldn't get their medical advice from him.
Kennedy's critique of vaccines in general's landed him in hot water with some. He's since evolved his views and claims that vaccines play a critical role in health care. Fatal drug overdoses are down in America. New data from the CDC shows there were about 30,000 fewer deaths in 2024 than the year prior to that. It is the largest one-year decline ever recorded. Still, around 80,000 Americans lost their lives to a drug overdose last year. You're listening to the Noon Report for Thursday on Family Life.
This is Faith Under Fire. We take you straight to the voices on the front lines of religious battlegrounds. I'm news anchor Sarah Harnish, and with me today, HSLDA defense attorney Will Estrada. We're talking homeschool freedom. You are at the center of a homeschool rights case in Illinois right now, and we've watched it play out on news stations across the country. Parents there could face jail time if they don't meet new requirements laid out by the state on homeschool reporting. New York is also a volatile state to homeschool in. The Homeschool Legal Defense Association lists it as one of only 4 red states in the entire nation. Tell me about the letter of substantial equivalence bill that you are working on to protect homeschoolers in the Empire State that's in the legislature right now.
It's great to be working with Leah and the homeschoolers who are defending homeschool freedom in Albany. New York has one of the most highly regulated homeschool laws, and this bill that's been introduced is really just a simple bill. It says a homeschool student could receive a letter of substantial equivalence, which would be used to verify that they followed the homeschool law and that they are a homeschool graduate. This would fix the issues for college enrollment or college admission, jobs, and other issues where homeschool high school diplomas are sometimes looked at as scant.
How does this protect homeschoolers in New York State?
It will make it easier for homeschool high school graduates to be able to get into college, to be able to get a job, to be able to work for New York State government. The interesting thing is I was homeschooled for a couple of years in New York State, then homeschooled the rest of my K-12 homeschool education in Pennsylvania, but I graduated with a Leah chapter in Binghamton, New York, and homeschool graduates, they do great work. Their homeschool parent-issued high school diplomas should not be treated as a second-class credential, and that's what this bill will fix.
There's another bill that's in the works. It's called the Fair Play Bill, and I've always been a firm believer that if you're paying school taxes and you have school-aged children, they should be allowed to take part in extracurricular activities. So tell me a little bit more about this bill.
The interesting thing, Sarah, is if you cross the border and go into Pennsylvania, you as a homeschooler who lives in Pennsylvania have the legal right to play sports on a public school team, to do extracurriculars and co-curriculars like band and music, and even to do career and technical education in the local public schools. Obviously, every parent needs to decide what's best for their child, but it gives families that freedom if they want to do it. They're paying their taxes. They really should not be discriminated against, and that's what this bill would seek to improve for New York State homeschoolers.
Can you give me some specifics about what you're doing in Albany today? How do you get the ears of lawmakers when you're walking through the Capitol?
Legislators love talking to kids and families, and they especially like it when they're talking to people who are not asking for more money, for major legislation. The message we have today in Albany is simple. Leave us alone. Treat homeschoolers fairly.
States keep standing right on the line of parental freedom. Why is it so important to keep pursuing cases just like these?
It really goes down to whom do children belong. I recently wrote a law review about parental rights in Jewish, Christian, and Islamic scriptures, and all 3 agreed that God created the family and that our rights don't come from government, they come from our Creator. And that's really what the heart of this battle is. Who will make the decisions for minor children? When we're defending homeschool freedom, we're standing right there with that incredible and important right of parents to be able to make these decisions as opposed to government bureaucrats.
New York has the 2nd largest homeschool population of any state in America. But many days the parents here feel very alone and very limited in their resources. Can you tell me one of your wins at HSLDA? What's one of your favorite stories to encourage parents living in the Empire State?
I'm going to share 2. The first one is in 2012, I was HSLDA's federal lobbyist, and we were able to get in a bipartisan bill to the annual National Defense Authorization Act to ensure that homeschool graduates, so homeschool high schoolers, could enlist in the U.S. military just like any public or private school graduate. That bill went through unanimously. It was signed into law by then President Obama, and it fixed decades of discrimination against homeschoolers who wanted to serve their nation in the U.S. Armed Forces. It's a reminder that homeschooling has strong bipartisan support. And then the second story I want to share is what we've seen just this year in Illinois. When this bad bill, HB 2827, was introduced, there were many people who told me There'll be no way to defeat this. Just focus on representing families in court. And we worked with local homeschoolers. 8,500 homeschoolers came out to the Capitol. The fire marshal had to shut it down. They wouldn't let anyone else in. And because of that defense of freedom, that bill is currently stalled and looks like it's going to die this year in Illinois. So we never give up when it comes to parental rights and homeschool freedom.
That's homeschool attorney Will Estrada on the Family Life Noon Report. Coming up, baseball perfection in Western New York.
Good afternoon. Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. Our weather pattern remains a bit murky over the next several days. That's not to suggest there won't be dry periods or sunshine. There will be in both cases, but there'll be the risk of some showers and thunderstorms coming in waves as an upper air disturbance drifts across the area. For this afternoon, variable cloud cover, some sunny intervals. There'll be a couple of isolated showers and thunderstorms in the area. High temperatures this afternoon in the 70s. We'll have to watch for a larger area of showers and thunderstorms across our region late tonight into tomorrow morning from west to east. Otherwise, plenty of clouds through the period. Low temps tonight, 50s and low 60s. Highs tomorrow, 70s and low 80s. Saturday, mostly cloudy, a couple of scattered showers and thunderstorms in the 70s, and turn quite a bit cooler Sunday through next week.
All right, Kevin, thank you. And finally at noon, there are good years, there are great years, and then there's the year that the SUNY Niagara men's baseball team in Western New York is having this year.
It's been a storybook year, obviously going 46-0. I don't think it gets better than that.
You heard him right. 46 wins, 0 losses. How about that? Head coach Matt Klingersmith says one word describes his team this season.
Because they got grit. That's all I'll say. We have a lot of grit. These kids have battled a lot of adversity. They were not heavily recruited. They were like second options for a lot of schools. So now they got a lot of grit and they got a chip on their shoulder. So they play with a lot of heart and emotion.
The undefeated Thunderwolves are made up mostly of local talent like pitcher Aiden Paul from Medina.
We came JUCO because the four-year programs didn't want us out of high school. So we feel like we have something to prove, and that's kind of what we're looking to do. I mean, we're all homegrown kids that just want to win a national championship for our hometown. So I think we got a really good chance to do that, and it's pretty cool.
At 46-0, they're off to a really good start. SUNY Niagara has finished national runners-up 3 times in school history, but they're hoping this is the year they get over that hurdle and win their first ever national championship. And that's our world, the world we live in. Thursday, the 15th of May. I'm Bob Price. Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.